Welcome to this video. The first part of this video will constitute a presentation. Most of this video content will be a demonstration of using AI tools to show you how easy it is to generate test case execution of a target web application. If you would prefer to get right to the demonstration part of this video, don't hesitate. Go ahead. The target application is an existing application called Swag Labs. The aim here is to introduce the MCP concept that enables AI tools to generate test scripts that can automatically verify and validate a target web application. The process will use the Claude desktop tool to convert AI prompts into MCP commands that will dialogue with a Playwright server. In turn, the Playwright server will receive the MCP commands and generate Playwright test script code and then schedule the test script for testing and dialoguing with the target application. In this case, we will use Swag Labs. The Smithery.com website referenced is only used for two things: to install the Playwright MCP server and to update the Claude desktop tool with proper configuration data. Now, Swag Labs is a popular demo e-commerce website used for testing and automation purposes. I've used it several times in the past. It's designed to simulate a basic online store where users can browse products, add them to a cart, and complete a purchase. It even includes a burger menu up in the top left corner. That feature will be handled in the test automation. The tool known as Claude Desktop is a GUI type tool that looks like Copilot, ChatGPT, or other AI prompting tools. This tool runs on your local machine just like Copilot does. You can refer to Claude also as an AI agent. With regards to the MCP concept, Claude acts as both an MCP client and an MCP host tool. Claude is a tool that can interface with many different MCP servers that are located at the Smithery.com website. There are other tools available that are similar to Claude and also similar to Smithery, I should say. One that comes to mind as far as Claude is concerned is called Cursor. I selected Claude as the starting tool. I may look into the others as well. I'm not disappointed in choosing Claude so far. Now, Claude works with an MCP server, as I mentioned. There are many MCP servers available on the Smithery.com website. The site acts as a repository for MCP server designed by the public. You can create your own MCP servers, in other words. When an MCP server is built, it is registered on the Smithery.com website. Others can peruse the site to locate a server that they have in need. The Smithery command shown is a sample. When executed from a terminal prompt, it enables access to the server via Claude. In addition, it updates Claude desktop configuration data with the proper information to integrate between Claude and the MCP server tool. In this presentation, the MCP server selected is the server that integrates with a software tool known as Playwright. Though not shown here, if you have never installed Playwright on your machine, this is an additional step for setting up your environment. use your search engine to find Playwright download. Playwright has several test commands in its arsenal, but specifically the Playwright MCP server has currently what is shown here. But this is sufficient to complete the task that will be performed in my demonstration. That is a segue for me to mention that these server tools are usually open source, and that means if you are so inclined, you might want to contribute enhancement code to this server or any others to meet your specific needs. All the MCP server code is in some GitHub repository and available for cloning. Be aware that the main steps for setting up an environment for testing with Playwright using Claude are the install for Claude and the appropriate MCP server. Of course, as I mentioned, you will need to have the latest version of Playwright installed too. As for the configuration, the Smithery site will handle the install and configuration of the MCP server for Claude. This I like very much. Once you launch Claude, you can go to the file, navigate to settings, and then to developer, and you should see the entry for the MCP server. Clicking on it will display the configuration detail. You should not have to change anything at this point. Now, what we will be doing in the demonstration part of this video will include a little Claude demonstration and walkthrough of the previous conversation with Claude that completed a generating and test script execution of the Swag Labs application. After that demo, you will see a new conversation in Claude that will retest the Swag Labs application. On the display, you can see that the steps that will be generated in the test script will open a browser, navigate, and then log in after entering user credentials. Verification and validation processing will occur. A catalog item will be added to the cart, and the user will log out. While all of this is happening, Claude will be capturing and communicating the results. I believe if you have not seen this before, you will be impressed. At least I was, knowing how much is involved to create working Playwright scripts manually. One of the greatest benefits that you should come to understand from this video is how powerful Claude Desktop is. It is an AI agent tool that accepts AI prompts from a user. It is then capable to accept the prompt and convert the text into text commands that an MCP server can understand to interface with non-AI tools like Playwright. It is able to check responses and recover from errors. It is also able to capture good responses and determine next steps to continue with sending commands until the expected prompt request is completed. In my first article on MCP, I mentioned that this MCP concept reminds me of Star Trek and Borg beings, if you remember them. They could board a spaceship and connect to any device and then download all its information. That is like the MCP concept. That is what it brings to using a tool like Claude to reach out via an MCP server and dialogue with a software application. Claude, with any of thousands of MCP servers, provide good benefits to anyone that needs to operate with software tools or databases or company applications to extract data or conduct automation tasks. Not having to develop or modify code is a huge benefit all by itself. But the amount of time it takes to set up the environment is a useful benefit as well. The idea of repeatability and reusability is paramount too. I hope I have sold you on the MCP concept up to this point, but I urge you to stay for the demonstration. I believe it will be worth your time. Please join me in the lab. All right, let me start this lab session or demonstration with taking a quick overview look at Swag Labs, the application. So we start here with entering username and password. And the password, as you can see down further on the screen, secret sauce. And we click login. Move that out of the way. And here we see the catalog page or products page. Here is the hamburger menu, as I mentioned. If I click on that, I can see several options, and one of them is to log out. That's what we're going to do in this process of testing. And we can see over to the far right a cart. And when a product is accepted or selected, add to cart, then we see a number indicating that the cart has been updated. And so we'll see that process, and as I said, we'll come back and log out of the application, and it will return us to the main page, the login page. And that's the extent of the testing we will do. It will validate along the way, verify certain information along the way, like the user credentials, and then we're done. So, with that, I will close this application in the browser. And now we're at the Claude desktop client. And so here, what you're seeing right now is a previous conversation that was done in Claude, and it's titled Verify Empty Cart for Standard User. But we're doing a little bit more than that, and you will see what happens as we go. And so this particular first part of the demo that I'm doing is to give you a feel for what you will see as a result of a simple prompt, AI prompt, and see what all is done in Claude with that information. So the prompt was log into Swag Labs as standard user. That's the one you saw me log in with, the user ID, and verify the cart is empty, and then log out. Okay, let's do that. So it comes back and says, I'll help you log into Swag Labs, sorry about that, as the standard user, check that the cart is empty, and then log out. Let me start by navigating to the site. So the first thing we see is that it initiates a browser navigate command. And basically it has the URL in it telling the target test or the MCP server that we want to go to this particular online address. And the response is that it navigated there. Let's close that one. Take a look at the next one. Here it says browser screenshot. So the name of the page is this, and it says in response, I'll scroll, you actually see the login page. So it did get to that point. It did navigate to that location online. So it went into the browser, opened the browser, used that URL, got to that page. The next thing is browser fill. So that means it's going to be putting some information into the page that it's on. So here we have the username, standard user. So these two commands will be processed, and the return is it filled the username with standard user. All right, let's look at yet another one. We won't look at all of them. I'm just going to go through highlighting. All right, so when it entered the user credentials, then it issued a command to click on the login button. Did it do that? Yes, it did. And let's close that. Move on. And so it said, great, I've successfully logged in as the standard user and could use the products page. So it's trying to tell us it has reached the products page like we saw. Now I need to check the shopping cart to verify it's empty. I can see the shopping cart icon in the top right corner of the page. So it's letting us know it actually has found it, knows where it is. Let me click on it. So it issues a command to click and then comes back with a screenshot. Let's take a quick look at the screenshot. What did it see? Click, scroll down here, and you see what's happened is it has gone past that. It's gone to the Swag Labs cart page because it clicked on a button. And so now it's actually moved further than what we thought with the click. All right, let's go on. It says, perfect. I can confirm that the cart is empty. Your cart page shows only the headers, quantity, and description, but no items below them, indicating the cart contains no products. The empty space in the main content area confirms this. Now I need to log out. I'll access the hamburger menu to find the log out option. It does that. Said, let me try clicking the hamburger menu button by its ID instead. It tried to do the open menu and it failed. Well, it corrected its problem and says, all right, I'm going to click on the button ID. And it did that. So that's something that will happen with Playwright, where some things will, some identification for a particular element on the screen will pass, and sometimes it will fail. So it manages to correct the problem on its own, and it then comes back with, excellent, the menu is now open. I can see the log out option. Let me click on it to log out. And it does that, comes back with a screen, and the screen should be the login page, as you see here. All right, close that. And then it comes out with a summary. It says, perfect, I've successfully completed all the requested tasks. That was a one sentence, and it accomplished everything that it thought needed to be done in order to answer the request. And then it gives a summary. And overall, logged in, verified the cart, logged out. Those were the main points, and it gave you detail on that. What did it do? What information did it use? And so on. And it says the test has been completed successfully. The cart was confirmed to be empty for the standard user account, and the logout process worked as expected. Now, and we said, let's try a second test. Log into Swag Labs as a standard user and select the first product and verify it is added to the cart and then log out. All right, so it says, I'll help you do that. It then does browser fill, user credentials, clicks the login, and we should be at the page, the products page or catalog page. We can see that, and it says, great, I'm logged in and I can see the products page. The first product displayed is the Sauce Labs backpack. I didn't tell it to give me that information, but it did. I didn't tell it to tell me what the price is, but it did. Now I'll click the Add to Cart button for the first product. It does that. If we look at the screen, we then see the added screen, and you can see that the button changed so that I could easily remove that product from the cart. So that lets me know it did click on that button to add it to the cart. Close that. It says perfect. I can see the product. Successful. There are two clear indicators. The shopping cart icon in the top right now shows a red badge. I didn't tell it to give me all that information. The Add to Cart button changed to the Remove button, confirming the item was added. So that's some pretty good validation processing there. Now, let me click on the shopping cart to verify the product is actually in the cart. And let's see what happens. It does send a command to do that. And what screen we see may or may not be, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong one. Okay, in the screen we see, there. We're in the cart, it says your cart. We can see the little icon has changed. It's got a 1 on it, and it's Sauce Labs backpack for $29.99. And I can easily remove it from there. But this is the cart page, so I know what's in the cart. All right, one more. Let's see. Clear that. It comes back with the cart verification is complete. I can confirm. Quantity 1. Product name, Sauce Labs backpack. This is great. Carry all the things with the sleek. It's given all the description. $29.99, the price. Now I need to log out. We saw how it does that. The menu is open. He found the log out option. Didn't have to do it twice this time. And perfect. Summary. And we can see even more information for verification. He verified what the product was and price and all that good stuff. The test demonstrates that the shopping cart functionality works correctly for the standard user account, properly adding items and maintaining the cart state throughout the session. This is really good. I can't tell you how impressed I was to see what kind of results you get from simple AI prompts to do the testing. It actually engaged the product called Playwright and created test scripts. That's 2 different test scripts it created, and it actually executed it and did it successfully. Made sure if there were problems, it recovered from those problems. Will it do that in every situation? Maybe not. That means you have to maybe add some additional processing or capabilities to the MCP server for Playwright. But for the most part, at least what I tried to do, it did very successfully. Now, I want you to see this process done live. So I'm going to stop and restart again. I don't want it to be in this conversation. I want it to be in a brand new conversation. So let me stop momentarily and then we'll start again. Okay, we're at the beginning. We're ready to enter a new conversation with Claude, and I'm going to paste that last command or prompt I had in the previous one. Let's see if we want to do it exactly. Log in to Swag Labs using this user and select, let's say for fun, let's just say the second product, and verify it is added to the cart, and then log out. All right, that ought to be good. Let's go ahead and click to start, and it comes back with its standard message. It's going to start. It said, let me navigate that. Let me scroll down a little bit here. All right, it's moving ahead. Logged in. We're at the products page. The first product, it's telling me about the first product, but it's going to the second. Okay, so I have a pop-up message. It wants to do a browser click text. Review each action carefully before approving. I'm going to allow. It says Claude cannot guarantee the security here, but I'm looking at the screen. It should be fine. That ought to be interesting to see. It did select the Sauce Labs Bike Light for $9.99. Scrolling down here, we'll come back and look at some more of the detail when it's finished. It said, I've successfully completed the task. It logged in to Swag Labs with standard user, selected the second product, verified it was added to the cart, logged out. It says all tasks have been completed successfully. The second product, Sauce Labs Bike Light, was successfully added to the cart and verified, and the user has been logged out of the system. And when I look over to my other screen, I see that the last thing is that it's back at the login page. It doesn't close the browser, but that's a simple one-click item that can be done. All right, let's take a closer look at what transpired. We'll go back to the top here. We started with this AI prompt, and it started going forward, and you probably noticed that we had a pop-up at some point. We also had a delay in the amount of time it took to actually get started. I don't know if that's something that was a problem on my laptop itself. I'm not sure. I would have to do some investigation to check that out. But typically, it would go fairly quickly to the new page or the new address that it needed to get to. All right, but it did do what we expected it to do. It went to sourcedemo.com, and if I scroll down to the screenshot, there it is. Let me close that out. Close the other one. Excuse me. It filled the information in, the user ID and password. Did the click. Did the screen, moved on with the screenshot. And I believe we should see the catalog or products page. And the second product is this guy here, Sauce Lab Bike Light. So it went to the second one as opposed to the first to select. And it did do that. That was great. Told me the fact that the first product was this and the second product is this. It went on, clicked to add to cart, and the screenshot, let's see what we have there. We can see the remove button there. That's one indication that it did select that. And it should tell us that here. That second item, add to cart button, is changed to remove. And there's a 1 indicating one item in the cart. Okay. Then it did another click and screenshot. It tells us he could confirm that Sauce Lab's Bike Light has been successfully added to the cart. Gives us the information about that product, the description, and moves on to logging out. It accomplished the log out, and it said all tasks were done successfully, which was to log in, select the second product, verify the data in the cart, and log out. And all tasks were completed successfully. This concludes this demonstration, and I really, truly hope that you see the benefit of a product such as this, where you're able to use AI prompts to accomplish getting some test cases built and executed and get a reasonable amount of information, useful information, that could be passed on to a user community to confirm you did accomplish this type of testing that needed to be done. Thank you for your time. Hopefully, the lab helped you to see more on benefits. There are other videos that talk about different ways to set up an environment for using MCP. I think this method is a little less cumbersome and gets the job done. Please look out for more of my videos on this subject. I have plans to cover more about using MCP. Thanks again for your time.